Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Expert to Authority show. My name is Simone Vincenzi and I'm your host. And this is the show for coaches, speakers, and trainers who want to grow their businesses while making an impact in the world. Every week, we give you a brand new episode, sometimes featuring some of our clients and sharing their journeys. Sometimes I'll give you a solo episode where I share some of the things that we do behind the scene here at GTeX. And then other times we have incredible guests like today to talk about how to become an authority in your space, either to give you how-tos and tips or to share their journeys and their stories. Before we start, a couple of things. So today, first of all, we're going to talk about creating high converting sales pages. So if you want to create a long form sales page to sell a product or a service, we're going to look at what structure, what kind of things to put in there. So that's going to be the topic of the day. If you have not subscribed yet and you're new to the show, make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you are returning listeners, then welcome back. Last thing is if you know that to get clients, creating a high converting presentation, having a webinar presentation is one of the best things you can have in place. Particular when you can get pre-qualified appointments or you can get sales straight away. And I've been running more than 700 webinars. So I know a thing or two about them. Some of them made a lot of money. Some of them made nothing, all the mistakes that you can think of. And I wanted to create something to make it easier for you to run your own webinar. It's called the Webinar Conversion Kit. Is a kit that in one place it gives you a structured presentation that you can use in multiple situations, not only on your webinars, to convert and to get clients. So you will have the slide deck, you will have the resources, social media posts to promote the webinar, everything that you can think of that you need to create and launch and sell with webinars then is in the Webinar Conversion Kit and is only $29.99. So less than $30. Check the link in the show notes, is the Webinar Conversion Kit, and you can find it as well if you're listening at webinarconversionkit.com. So it's webinarconversionkit.com and you can check it out. Now it is time to start with the interview of the day. Let me introduce our guest. He's a former psychology researcher turned direct response marketing consultant and a sales funnel copywriter. Is best known for breaking down 100 proven sales letters in 100 days to uncover the master secrets of the best copywriters of all time while documenting his process through daily YouTube videos. Today is going to be with us. We're going to talk about how to create a profitable sales page that converts on cold traffic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Csaba Borzasi. Welcome, Csaba. How are you doing?
Hey, Simona, thank you so much for inviting me. It's great to be here. I'm doing really well. How about you?
I'm incredibly well. As I mentioned before, just came back from Sicily. Had a
Awesome.
great time and now back in London, back to work and back to the podcast. So let's start with you. You started your career. You didn't start your career as a copywriter. Like you were a former psychology researcher. And then you got a passion for copywriting.
Yes.
What were you doing as a psychology researcher? I'm curious.
Yeah, well, actually, psychology was my second university degree because I did economics before that, but I always felt more aligned to understand how the human mind functions. Because it's one thing to, look at all these supposedly objective economic forces and business and stuff like that. But if we think about behavioral economics, people behave irrationally. So I started diving deeper into psychology. I started a psychology degree as well. And I found myself researching cognitive psychology and specifically within that internal motivation, intrinsic motivation, like how we do stuff without external stimuli, without, the promise of money or without the promise of a punishment or something like that.
And what was the most fascinating thing you have discovered in that process?
Well, one thing that definitely struck with me, and it was especially useful after on when I became a copywriter, is that people are very irrational, very emotional. creatures. It's normal. We make decisions based on emotion, and then we justify it with logic. And that's how we evolved. That's how our brains and everything evolved. And on the surface, a lot of people talk about this. Like, yes, you have to appeal to emotions. Your copy has to be emotional. But I think one thing that was especially useful for me is because I better understood the neuropsychological aspects of why this is the case, for example.
Yeah, it's fascinating on how we as human being we come up for a logical response for everything. Yeah, because it's what I need this and I want to buy this and because of this reason. But most of the time we are just fulfilling an emotional need, and that's also what we're going to talk about when we're going to dissect landing pages and sales pages in a moment. But where did the love from copywriting then came from?
Well, I was always a type of person who wants to understand everything from different angles. And after my university studies, I wanted to apply for a PhD in behavioral finance, but I didn't get in to the place where I wanted to get in. I'm originally from Romania. Actually, I'm Hungarian, and now I live in Budapest, Hungary, but I was born and raised in Romania. As a minority. And I wanted to apply for the Netherlands and to Germany, that had some allowances as well, but didn't really get in. And then I said, let's go and try to work for the private sector. So I started working for IBM first as a sales support specialist. I worked there for a few years. Then I joined a wealth management company where I was like a direct salesperson. I really hated that job, but I definitely learned a lot from that.
Yeah.
And then after leaving that job, that's when I started just becoming a freelance copywriter. And a few of my friends here in Budapest have already been doing it. And I could already see, potential in it. And I was listening to a lot of podcasts from Tim Ferriss and Ramit Sethi and, people that, hey, you should start your own business or you should start doing something, just get away from the typical 9 to 5. It resonated with me. And then that's how I got started.
Then that's where you are. I'm curious because copywriting is a skill which is definitely based on language and mastering the language that you're speaking. And English is not my first language. English is not your first language as well. So when you started your career as copywriter, did you start in English or did you start in Romanian or Hungarian?
No, it was all English. I never worked in Romanian or Hungarian, actually, ever. Like I never had a client or never had a project in Hungarian. I helped out a few friends, but that's it. I was always in English because I wanted to go to the source immediately, because the best copywriters, the best experts in this niche, they mostly live in the United States. And I wanted to learn from the best, and I wanted to work with the best. And ever since I was a child, like I did study English. I started watching Cartoon Network, and then I played a lot of computer games in English. I role-playing games, and I read the dialogue and I read the backstories. And then my first university was also in English. So it wasn't that hard, actually.
So you didn't have like major challenges in adapting or finding, like refining your English, like your written English in this case?
Well, not really. Although it's funny, like now when I reread some of the things that I wrote in the beginning of my career, like 5 years ago, it sounds funny sometimes. It's not bad, but it's mostly like, it's not like the language or the grammar is bad, but the text doesn't really flow so nicely, or it's much more forced. It sounds, in quotes, I'm saying funnier, so it's not so smooth.
I hear you. I was curious because like I write a lot of copies, like all of our emails and the landing pages, I write all of them. And at the beginning was a challenge. At the beginning was definitely a challenge. And then now I cannot write in Italian. I can only write in English, which is very weird.
It's so hard, right? It's so interesting.
I'm doing a training this evening for an Italian audience. And we did the first with Daniela, which we both met at the mastermind. And the first one, like teaching in Italian when I've learned everything in English, is hard. It's actually very hard,
Yeah,
which
and
is
it's like,
part of.
how do you call that thing, like the lead
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something
exactly,
like
exactly.
that?
What's the Italian word for it?
Yeah.
All right, let's get started with the copy. So, uh, uh, before we go through the distinction of of what to put in a long form copy to sell to cold audience, can you define what is the main difference, just for people that might be a bit newer, between actually, when is long copy appropriate? Not the difference. When is long copy appropriate? Because
That's a
I'm assuming it's not appropriate everywhere.
Yes, that's a great question. And a lot of people ask this, and a lot of people always come up with these doom and gloom stories for long copy. Oh, long copy is dead. Nobody reads long copy anymore. Like, who would read a 20, 30, 40-page sales letter or something? But if you look at video sales letters, if you look at the best campaigns from Agora Financial, from a lot of these big direct response companies, they all still use direct, like long form copy. And this is especially true for cold traffic. So for cold traffic, if you want to sell something, you need long copy in most cases. And here's why. It's not because you want to bore them with your copy, or it's not because you couldn't really make it work in some situations with short copy, but because copywriting is basically salesmanship in print. You're trying to simulate a one-on-one conversation with someone who's a cold prospect. And back in the day, in one-on-one selling, you have like 1 hour to like go to their house, start explaining the product, demonstrate it, make a whole marketing argument for your case, so that by the end of it, they either buy or not. And we all know that the biggest conversion rates always come from one-on-one interactions, from like one-on-one sales calls, one-on-one interactions in masterminds or something like that. And the best way to simulate this is with long copy, because that's the only way to shift enough of their beliefs and to answer enough of their objections so that they buy something on the internet. So that would be my short version.
That will be the part, because it's interesting. Like, a lot of people, I love what you said about long form copy simulates the interaction that you have one-to-one with a client. Because what do? You try to understand them. You see what they are, who they are, what are the problems that they have, what kind of things they're looking for. So there are all these elements that you will explore naturally. But online is, when you're looking at a page, the attention is so quick. Like, either you get them from the beginning or you don't. And now you need to have something that simulates that conversation and response. So let's look at the element. Actually, no, I have another question before. Is there a limit, or like a price limit for long copy?
Do you mean like if your product is priced at a certain level,
Yeah,
how long
yeah.
should?
Like, is there a particular price point where you say, actually?
Well, there are a few generalities, but nothing is written in stone. Like, generally, the more expensive your product, the longer your copy needs to be. And this doesn't always have to be on a single sales page. If you look at a sales funnel, if you look at like someone subscribes to your email list because they requested a lead magnet, that lead magnet is already a certain part of the whole longer arching marketing conversation that you're trying to give them. And then they read your emails. Again, the idea here is that you have to shift enough beliefs. And sometimes when you're selling a high ticket program, coaching program, for example, well, it's better to have like direct sales calls with those people. Still, it converts better. But let's say you're selling a $1,000 course. It's still, it's not an impulse buy for most people. It's still a significant amount of money. And, but it's not, you know, enough so that you have, in most cases, like one-on-one 1 hour calls with every single person, for example, if you have a course. So in that case, especially if the course is like, let's say, priced higher, or the contents of the course is more abstract, or it needs more work from people or something, then you need more copy, because you can come up with way more proof elements. You can shift more of their beliefs, and your whole marketing argument can become way stronger. It's like you're a lawyer or like a prosecutor, and you're trying to prove a point in front of a judge. Sometimes you need enough time and space to show all your proof elements and to, let's say, convict someone as guilty based on all these proof elements.
So basically, we can use long copy for different price points, and long copy can lead to a call to action with booking a call, or we making a direct purchase.
Yeah.
That depends on your sales process. So now let's look at the pages. Let's look at the page. So we want to create a long form page to put in front of cold prospects. There are people that don't know about us. They see the message, they click, and then they see that page. What are the elements that must be on that page? So if someone is thinking to write, then it can almost have like a checklist to say, I need to think about this first, then second, then third, then fourth.
Yeah, great question. Based on the 100-day proven sales letter challenge that I did, in which I broke down 100 proven ads, all sorts of like long form sales letters and even space ads and megalogs and stuff like that, there are almost always universal elements that you have to include. But before we cover this, it's very important to mention that your sales letter, although it's the central part of your funnel, it doesn't live in a vacuum. So it also depends on who is the traffic that you're basically funneling to that sales page. Because if they're not interested in it, if they are not, if there's a fundamental mismatch between what you're trying to offer and what they're interested in, then you can have the best sale. You can hire Gary Bencivenga, and your sales page is still going to bomb. And Gary Halbert, legendary copywriter, actually said that if there's one thing that he would pick to guarantee the success of a campaign, it would be a starving crowd. So they might be cold, that's okay, but they need to have an urgent problem and certain wants and desires that you want to target with your sales message. So that's one thing. And another very important thing to mention first is that people buy solutions to problems they want resolved so that they no longer feel the pain. So people are buying basically solutions to their pains. And you have to keep this in mind when you create a sales message, because the first part of your sales message, which we often call the headline or the lead or the hook, is always related to this number one core pain, and it teases that number one desire. However, since it's a cold audience, it's not enough nowadays in most markets or most industries to just give them a promise and appeal to their, or like come up with a problem solution type of headline. It's not enough. You also have to come up with a unique mechanism, for example. And I don't know, do you want to like go deeper into the first few parts of the sales page?
Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Absolutely.
Because there are like, okay, let me just give you like a very quick level overview of what's needed for the sales page. And then we'll dive deeper into the headline part and the lead part, because this accounts for 80% of the success of the sales page.
Excited.
Yeah. So basically what you always need is some sort of open, which includes a headline, which includes a lead. And the aim of the lead is basically to follow up on your headline and build emotional desire for people actually consuming the message itself. And this has to be very emotional. This isn't a place to convince them with facts or statistics or something like that. You tease a new, different, and superior solution compared to anything else they've seen before, and you basically build desire for why they should learn more, why they should read. So you're selling consumption on the sales page. Then the next part has to be some sort of emotional connection, where you basically share your own story. You know, this is one of the most common ways to do this, is to use a hero's journey story or a discovery story in which you explain how you also struggled with this problem, let's say weight loss, how you also struggled with this, how you discovered something. And you basically, in this part, this is the meat of your sales letter, the biggest part. All you're doing is you're coming up with claims, but then you're backing it up with proof. And you're explaining, you know, how this would help them reach their desires. And you're repeating this like 3 times. Then you need some sort of...
What do you mean about repeating it 3 times?
I mean, at least 3 times, because, you know, 1 is coincidence, 2 is still coincidence, but 2 is like still coincidence, and 3 is a pattern. So just like when you say, let's say I want to say that, you know, weight loss pill, for example, helps you lose 20 pounds of fat in a week or something. If I were to just say that, it's an empty claim. So I need to back it up with proof as well. And then one of the proof elements could be, well, it works because it uses some special type of ingredient found in the Amazonian jungle that not many people know about. And then here are a lot of studies that show how this ingredient basically works to lower some hormone that makes you lose weight. And then, but you know, this isn't enough in most cases. So you come up with two other proof elements. One of them could be, yes, well, it also uses a very safe manufacturing process in which it's not contaminated with lead or something. I'm just making this up, but you get the idea. So you're building like a case for yourself in most cases. And then after this part, this is the most difficult part to create and the part that needs the most creativity and the most research. Because after it, you start transitioning to a product that's still relatively creative. But then once you got to the close section, the product reveal section and the close section, it's relatively formulaic. You always walk people through the same steps, basically. You introduce the product, you show the unique selling proposition, like how it's different and what makes it unique. You basically describe the features and benefits and the benefits of the benefits. You present some sort of risk reversal. You give them call to action. You give them more urgency, more proof elements.
Slow down.
Sorry,
I can't keep up like this. So let's go. So what do you put in the different parts? So let's restart. So you have the headline, then you have the lead.
Yes.
And so the part that we talked about with the 3 cases.
That's the marketing argument.
That's the marketing argument.
Yes.
So we have the marketing argument where we give 3 reasons why this particular product works.
Well, at least, yes.
At least 3. And then after that, what do we have?
After that, we have some sort of transition to how the whole marketing argument connects to the product. And again, this can be done via a story, like, after I discovered these things, I felt that it's my obligation to create a product like that. And so many other people were asking me to share this with them. So I shared it with my friends.
So there is like a link between how you discover that and this data and the studies and the benefit to why you've created something.
Yes.
And then at that point, there is the product reveal.
Yes, but it's very important that this part isn't abrupt. It's not like, hey, blah, 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 I'm telling you all these things, and now introducing product.
Right. There needs to be a transition there.
Yeah, and it needs to be like a logical reason why you create it. So it's not like you created a product to make money, but you created a product because you discovered something really interesting.
That people needed to know.
People needed
to know. Or I started talking to some friends and I was recommending it to my friends and they were having great results. So I said, okay, this needs to be out there more.
Yes. Or a common thing that you see in the financial markets, for example, is that I discovered the secret algorithm on how to trade stocks, for example, and big, bad Wall Street fat cats don't want you to know, or big pharma doesn't want you to know. So now it's my obligation to share it with you.
Yeah, we can see this over and over again.
Yes.
That's definitely that part we can see over and over again. Okay, so then after the transition, we get on the product reveal.
Yes.
What are the elements or the things to put in the product reveal?
Well, you can make this simple and you can make this complicated based on how long and complicated the message is. But in most cases, I would say you definitely need to highlight your unique selling proposition, which is like what unique benefits you offer. That other products don't offer. And this has to be connected to your headline, to your big idea. Then you give a brief product overview because, people need a high level overview, like what it is. And you give like a high level overview of like the features, the benefits. But what most people neglect is that they just say feature and they just say benefit, but they fail to neglect the emotional side of the benefits or the practical side of the benefits, how it's dimensionalized, how it will make you, like, for example, let's say here's an iPhone. The feature would be that it has a 2,900 milliamp hour battery, let's say. The benefit is that you have all day battery life. But the practical benefit of this is that so you no longer have to worry about always having a charging cable with you.
Right.
And the emotional benefit is that so that you'll feel confident that you'll be able to have like all day battery life, and you'll be able to be reachable all day without worrying about losing battery.
You can watch your favorite shows for hours on your phone.
Yes.
And switch off, unwind, and relax without the phone dying.
Yes.
Even if you're on a plane or on the road.
Yes.
No,
and we can go even higher. We can say so that you can spend more time with your family or people who matter the most or something. Well, maybe not in this case, but like, you can make more money because you'll be a well-connected business person or something.
Right. So we can definitely scale the benefits. So it's not just about the feature and the benefit, but it's also taking the benefits beyond.
Yes.
So that's in the product reveal. Then what do we have next?
I would say we still have some elements in the product reveal. It's very important to explain how to use the product, especially if it's more complicated, because most people, they just say, hey, here's the product, especially if it's an information product or coaching program. Here's the product, but they assume that people will be able to use it on their own. But if you describe how it works, people already start, almost hypnotizing themselves. They put themselves in the position of using it. And then the product reveal part also includes bonuses, very important.
Right. So before we move to the bonuses, for example, it's like saying, so when you will log in, first you will see this dashboard, and in the dashboard you.
Yes. Just a second, I lost audio connection. Is it me?
Yeah.
Okay, now I can hear you.
I don't know what happened there. Okay, we're back.
Okay, I can hear you again.
My laptop decides sometimes to switch automatically to my earpods. Even if they're closed in the case.
Wow.
It happened a few times. So never during a podcast interview, though. So what I was saying is you will find sometimes what I was saying. What was I?
The benefits were at the emotional benefits.
So part of the emotional benefits, and in the showing people how it works.
Oh yeah.
So it could be like, first you will log in this dashboard, then you will complete the onboarding training, which will help you give X, Y, and Z. There will be 3-5 minutes videos that you will have to watch to begin, and then you will join the Facebook community. So it kind of like, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
That journey that they're going
on. Painting the picture of their future life, like how it will look like, because a lot of people have anxiety to buy something, especially online. Even today, like they feel they're afraid that they're going to get scammed, or like marketing is always hypey, but then what if the guru or the seller doesn't deliver? So if you can alleviate these anxieties by clearly like lowering uncertainty. People want to lower uncertainty. So after this part, you introduce bonuses, but you can also give them, social proof elements here, a few people who've used the product, some testimonials, and also a reason why this is better than anything else, which is connected to the main marketing argument again.
And then we're done?
No. Very far from it. Now we shift into the closing part. Okay,
so now that's the product reveal. So we have we finished with the social proof and bonuses, and then we're going into the closing part. What are the elements of the closing part?
Yes. So what I like to use, and people are going to find a checklist to this. So all the things that we're talking about, there's going to be a show note in the show notes section, a link that basically includes my full 50-part checklist that basically has all the important elements that you need broken down into these major components. But what I like to use in the closing section is first a price anchor and a price drop, and also a reason why behind this discount. So every single good sales letter anchors the value of whatever you're selling high, and then the good ones give logical reasons why there is a price drop. It's not like normally $10,000, but now you can get it for $99. because like, why? It must mean it's cheap or something.
Yeah, what's the catch?
Yes. But if you say, normally I charge, I don't know, $25,000 for a mastermind meet for a year-long mastermind, and I charge, let's say, $2,000 per hour for consulting. But since, you know, this is going to be a group coaching program, I can obviously lower the price because, you know, we're going to be focusing on teaching in a leveraged way. And then that would normally I would charge $5,000 for this, but right now, because I want to make sure that everyone in my audience gets a fair chance, especially let's say during COVID, to give this a shot. You know, right now you can get it for $2,000, but if you act within 24 hours, I'm also going to give you like a cool fast action bonus so that you can get it for 1,000, like, for example.
Yeah. So you're always justifying why
yes.
there is that discount. And I like the way, you know, sometimes when you're talking about price anchoring, which is putting an higher price first, linked to the value, as you mentioned, you know, sometimes people do the price anchoring with the total value of the package that they will have. So if you were to buy this separately, it will, like, if you were to buy all of this together, it will cost you X, but for the offer that we are doing, is going to cost you Y. What I liked is also how it was anchored, linked to other services that you mentioned. So one-to-one, I charge X. So you anchor the price of the one-to-one, but you're selling something different. However, the value is still on the first number that you said, even if the product is not the same. Even if what you're offering is not the same.
Yeah. So this is very important because people, when they see a pure discount, they tend to discount the value of your product itself. But in this case, we are giving them a discount, but we're positioning a whole new class of product. It's like, hey, one-on-one this, but you can still get 80% of my one-on-one attention, but at like 20% of the price, because this is different.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's the closing part. Any other element on the closing part?
Yes, where there's like 15 elements, and this was only the second element. So
oh wow, okay.
Yes, and this is relatively formulaic.
So instead of giving all the 15 elements of the closing part, because then people can go into, can you give me the top 3 most important that are left?
Yes, I would say the price anchor is one of the most important things here. Obviously, the other important is the call to action, and you can have multiple call to actions. Like I like to use at least 3. So I give the first call to action after listing all the bonuses and everything. I give another call to action after introducing the guarantee and some scarcity elements. And I give one more call to action at the end after a bunch of other extra social proof. So this would be the second important. And again, there's a whole science to call to actions and how you do them. But even if you just, the main idea is that you just have to be direct about it. Stop selling from your heels, as some copywriters tell it. It's like you have to specifically tell them what to do. So click the green button right now, and then you'll get to a secure checkout page in which you're going to fill out your order info, and then you're going to get a welcome email in which you're going to have instant access to the product. Again,
so immediately spell out what I need to do. What I need to do is spell out.
Important because you're lowering uncertainty, and people don't like uncertainty. Like the stock market also performs the worst when it's uncertainty. And the third major thing that I would include is what we call the crossroads close. And this has several versions to it. Basically, the idea is that you give them a choice. Nobody wants to be forced to buy something. They want to feel like they're making their own internal choice. And this goes back to the internal motivation science that I talked about in the beginning of the podcast. You want to create the illusion that people are doing this because they themselves want to. And if your marketing argument was good, they will feel like, yes, I finally see the light. I tried a lot of things before, nothing worked for me, but this is different and this is superior. So I finally have hope again that this will help me. So you give them a contrasting choice. You say, okay, so at this point, this presentation is over. Obviously, I cannot force you to do something, but you have 2 options. Option one is that you do nothing. You continue the same thing. You're going to continue suffering. You're going to keep missing out on life. You're going to keep, you list all the pain points that basically you talked about. And yes, you can go to Google and try to find all this info for free and everything, but you're probably going to fail and all these bad things are going to happen to you. Or you have the second option, which is to give this a risk-free shot. And this goes back to again, a very important thing is to give them risk reversal, a guarantee or something. So you can try this risk-free. You don't have to commit to it right now. You just give it a try, an honest try. And I promise you'll love it. It's going to change your life in so many ways. And the contrast is going to be night and day. Now, it's obviously your decision, but you have to do something, because if you don't do something, then it's losing by default.
Yeah. So you're giving them, so you're putting them the options. You're getting them to compare the options.
Yes.
So what do you want to do? Now you can either buy or don't buy. If you don't buy, you know what's going to happen.
Yes.
What you have right now. And it's going to get worse. If you buy, give it a shot. And if you have a guarantee, a risk-free, then it makes it easier for people to buy. So now we have all the different elements from the copy, and make sure that you go on the link in the show notes. If you don't have, if you're listening to it, you can go to gameofconversions.com/copywriting-secrets. So it's gameofconversions.com/copywriting-secrets. So the link is there in the show notes. I have one question before we wrap up, because you mentioned at the beginning that the most important part is that top headline.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give an example of a good headline because you mentioned that, you talk about the pain and also the desire, but that's not enough. It needs to be something more. So can you give an example of a really good headline that you maybe have built recently?
Yes.
And breaking it down while we are here on the call.
Yes. So, when it comes to headlines, there is no certain set in stone science to it. There are several tools that you can use to come up with a headline. But one thing I really, really want to stress is that templates don't always work for headlines. You see, that's what people want. People, the lazy ones, they always want a copywriting headline template or formula or something. And I also have a very popular blog post on my site, even a separate lead magnet that talks about 39 proven headline formulas. But essentially, what you're trying to do is to hook people emotionally by teasing something that's different and superior, and it has the chance of being really the thing that they want in real life. So let me give you an example. It's a recent, the headline for a sales page I wrote at late last year for the Strategic Alliance Live conference. And I don't have my screen shared here, but basically it has three main elements. It has the pre-headline, the main headline, and the post-headline. And the pre-headline, what I like to use, and I learned this from Clayton Makepeace, a legendary copywriter, is to give some sort of proof element immediately, because the main headline is going to give a big promise. Mm-hmm. So you counterbalance it with some sort of immediate proof element. And this is especially true for cold traffic. You can also qualify people in the headline. You see it in the pre-headline. You see this all the time. Attention, business owners making.
Do you have the example now that we can read together?
In my case, it was a testimonial, a quote from Jay Abraham, which a lot of people in this market know. It's a very, very high-level marketing strategist. And the quote said, "I have generated for my clients over $2 billion with this, and it costs nothing out of pocket." So this is a huge proof element because it's Jay Abraham, and it says with this. Well, what is this? I have to read.
What is this? I don't know what is this. Yeah.
And now comes the main headline in bigger font that says, "Give me 15 minutes and I'll show you a risk-free way to acquire a surge of new buyers for free without posting on social media, running paid ads, doing content marketing, cold outreach, webinars, or even building a list." So it's a pretty big promise, although it's absolutely true. It's a big promise.
Knowing Tom and the Strategic Alliance Live, yes, it is true.
Yes, but that's why I used the pre-head, a proof element pre-head. But even still, it's a pretty big promise. And the post headline, I wanted to counterbalance this by shifting away from promising them a transformation to shifting into a unique mechanism. So instead of focusing, and the main sales page, it didn't focus on the promise, it focused on the mechanism behind the promise. So the post head said, sounds like a pipe dream. This is a preemptive objection handling element as well.
Yes, it is.
Sounds like a pipe dream. Not if you use a simple new risk-free strategy called leveraged acquisition. And then there was a little red arrow to indicating to read more. This was the above the fold element.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. So you broke down the headline in 3 parts. Massive social proof that creates curiosity.
Yes.
Big statement and big promise. Get what you want without
yes,
things that you know that a lot of people are doing that might not give them good results. And then handling the objection that can come up with is this too good to be true, with a call to action to read more. So it's selling, the headline is selling, as you mentioned at the beginning, to read the content of the page.
Yes. And then almost as important as the headline is the first, let's say 1 or 2 lines of copy that begin the sales message. So let me just read it to you, like 2 sentences. So this is how I follow up this. I say, dear friend, if you're sick and tired of inconsistent cash flow in your business, one of the biggest pain points, this is going to be the most exciting message you'll ever read. Here's why. In this letter, you'll discover a unique method on how you can piggyback off of someone else's business assets in a way that guarantees you dozens or even hundreds of new buyers in as little as a few days at 0 cost. And then it continues. But you see, this is the lead part here. And the lead, what I'm doing is that I'm building curiosity and desire for them to read more and more and more. And every single sentence, basically, its job is for people to read the next sentence and the next sentence and the next one.
I love it. And what we're going to do, everyone, we're going to put also as well the link of the Strategic Alliance Live in the show notes, so that you can actually read the entire copy that Csaba wrote. So you can have a look and see all these elements that he mentioned with the resources. Now, there is so much that we can talk about copywriting. I know we just literally skimmed the surface, but I think that with what we covered today, if someone wants to have a mental checklist, now it has it. So you're talking with, you got the headline, then you're going with the story and the transition part of your the hero's journey, introducing the major, what you discovered and the major benefits that are coming up, then introducing the product, then going to the close. And I know I'm not giving it justice with the summary right now. So if someone wants to reach out to you, I'm going to direct them to the link so you can have actually the checklist of the creation of this page, of a long form sales page, which is gameofconversions.com. So it's with the final S, gameofconversions.com/copywriting-secrets. So gameofconversions.com/copywriting-secrets. And then what can they expect there? What are they gonna get?
Oh, they're in for quite a treat, because I've put all the best insights and discoveries that I uncovered during my 100-day proven sales letter breakdown challenge into a neat little cheat sheet. I call it the secret copy recipe. And it, first of all, it gives you the best lessons that I learned from this, but it also gives you this, this whole ultimate persuasive message template that we talked about in much more detail. And it also gives variations of this main structure. It also shows you how you can use this similar structure in a Facebook ad, or in a YouTube ad, or in a sales email, or in an advertorial or something, so that you still okay, you have to cut down the long form sales message into just 500 words. Like, what do you include from these things? What are the most important elements? And as a super bonus, people also get it's a 27 part checklist on diagnosing your copy. So a bunch of questions that's going to help you discover which part of your copy is weak and how you can improve it. And of course, you're also going to get all the videos dripped out to you, all the 100 videos.
That's a must have. So of conversions, so gameofconversions.com/copywriting-secrets. Csaba, it has been an incredible pleasure to have you on the show. I'm glad we managed to be able to do this interview and talk about copywriting. It is a must skill to have, in particular because every time you write something, whether it's on social media, whether it's for a long form sales letter like we did today, that's the skills that you need to get people to not just read but read and buy, which is two different things. If you want someone to buy, there is a different game. So I'm glad we had this conversation. Reach out to Csaba. The links and also his social media are going to be in the show notes. So Csaba, thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well. Loved it, and take care.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. If you haven't left us a review yet, make sure you leave us a review. That's good for the show. We know that the shows are really, they are reviews are life and blood of the life and blood of every show. So if you enjoyed, you found value, then go right now, hit the review button, and let us know what you think. Leave us a genuine review. It's good for the show, and it's good for the guest, and it's good for my ego as well. So I really appreciate it. Now it's time to wrap up. Until next time, always remember that together we grow exponentially. Ciao.